If you're interested in a career as a firefighter, the good news is that you do not need a college degree to become a firefighter. Now, some departments might say that they prefer it, but generally speaking, they don't care one way or the other whether or not you have a college degree. It's a common question that comes up a lot. So in this video, I'm going to be going over what degrees would be good if you want to have a career in the fire service, what ones you should probably stay away from or might not be that helpful, but also some degrees that might be helpful to you down the road, down later on in your career, or maybe even after your career as a firefighter. So if you find this content helpful and you find this useful, as always, please click the like button below. It tells me that you like it, and I'll keep making these videos if you find them useful and helpful. So let's get right into it. The first thing is, what are some good entry degrees? Let's say you're a little bit younger, 16, 17, 18, 20. You're new, you're thinking about school, you're not dead set on a traditional 4-year bachelor's degree, you know you want to get into the fire service, what should you do? My first and strongest recommendation for everyone trying to get into the fire service is get an EMS certification, whether it be as an EMT or as a paramedic. And I highly recommend paramedic over EMT. It goes a lot further, you get a lot more bang for your buck. But I can't recommend that enough. And trust me, I get it. For a lot of people that are interested in the fire service, EMS is not the most exciting thing in the world to you. That's not something you really want to do, but it will make you stand out more, whether it be a large department or a small department. The fire service is moving more and more towards integrating with EMS and other public safety. So if you already have that knowledge and those skills going into it, it will make you stand out more. The other thing about it is it gives you a built-in B job. And if you're not familiar with the expression B job in the fire service, because of the way firefighter schedules fall, 24/48, 48/96, California swing schedule, firemen tend to have a lot of time off because they're working 24 hours at a time. So a B job is considered your secondary job, something else that you do. And I'll actually make another video and put it right here about good B jobs for firefighters. Being a paramedic gives you a built-in B job. And again, like I said, I get it. It's not something you want to do. You might not want to work in an ER. I've done it. It's not for me. I'll never do that again. But it gives you the opportunity to work in life flight, work on another ambulance, work in an ER. So it makes you stand out, and it gives you a built-in B job. So that's one thing. The next thing I would recommend is, especially if you're younger, I'd recommend getting into the trades. Now, I'll get more into the traditional 4-year bachelor's degree here in a second, but I highly recommend anybody that's younger that's watching this that isn't sure if they want to go to college or not. I would recommend, if you're the type of person that works well with your hands, you like tinkering with things, you're good with mechanical things, you like building things, check out the trades: carpentry, plumbing, electricians. There's a shortage of those. And so taking the time to learn those skills definitely gives you a built-in B job, because good contractors are very hard to find. But also, it will aid you in your fire career going forward. If you have a good understanding of building construction and what to look out for at electrical fires, because you have this knowledge as an electrician and panels and things like that, it will help you quite a bit. So I would recommend it if you're younger and that's something you have the time and the ability to do. Look into trade school. So now, if we're talking more traditional college 4-year degrees, I would recommend a nursing degree. Now, before you turn this video off, hear me out. The fire service is moving more and more towards integrating with emergency medicine in general. More and more departments are integrating like that. So if the direction of the fire service, whether you like that or not, whether you think it's good or bad, if you already have an advanced level medical type degree, that will make you stand out more going forward. Also, if you can't stand the thought of working as a nurse somewhere on a floor, I get it. I wouldn't be able to do that either. But go work in an ER. I work with tons of firefighters that work in ERs, that work on life flight, that work in mobile intensive care units. In other words, on a MICU, on an ambulance. There's a lot of opportunity for that. And again, as a nurse, because they typically have pretty flexible schedules, it gives you a built-in B job going forward. So I would recommend a nursing degree. Another one that you might want to look into, if that's not for you at all, is look into an engineering degree. Now, engineering degrees are difficult. They're absolutely doable. You can do it. But if you're the type of person that is a tinkerer, you like working with your hands, you like learning how things work, maybe engineering would be a good thing for you. Mechanical engineering, structural engineering, electrical engineering, same sort of thing with the trades. This is just a little bit more of an advanced level. That will help you with your knowledge of building construction and how things work in the fire service. But again, it also gives you a built-in B job because engineering degrees are very difficult and very sought after. So that might be something that'll make you stand out a little bit more than your average person. A PA degree or any other advanced medical degree. So maybe you're a nurse, maybe you become a nurse practitioner or something like that. And the only reason I threw this in there is because I work with a guy that's actually a physician's assistant as well. And he went to PA school while he was working as a firefighter, made some trade times and made sure he made it to class. Now it's difficult. It's about a 2.5 year. You don't have to have any sort of medical degree or anything like that beforehand. You do have to have a bachelor's, I believe, and you have to have certain prerequisites going into it. But once those are done, you can go into PA school. I think the salary for a PA right now, depending on the state you're in, is between $90,000 and $120,000 a year. That's pretty good, especially if you're going to use this as a B job, but it will also aid you in your fire career as we move more and more towards emergency medicine. And then finally, the last one that I have is if you are dead set on going to college for a 4-year degree or maybe a 2-year degree, is anything IT related. Cybersecurity, computer science, programming, anything along those lines. Very much like with the emergency medicine stuff, we're moving more and more towards everything is going to be technology. The MDT systems, our schedule is on an app. We're getting more and more technologically advanced as the fire service goes on. So if you have the knowledge and the skills to understand these things and maybe avert some problems or fix some problems in-house before they get out of hand, if the MTT system goes down or radio systems go down, you're a very valuable person to have around. So that's just another idea. If that's something you're set on and you're maybe tech savvy, maybe look into an IT degree. So what would be degrees that you might want to stay away from if you know that you want to work in the fire service, or ones at the very least that probably aren't going to aid you that much? I would say pretty much any liberal arts degree. History, art, communications, none of those degrees are very... I have a bachelor's and I think it's in general studies, which is code for nothing. If I could go back, I wouldn't have done that. Nobody's going to care. It's not going to help you at all. If you have it in an interview, and they ask you about it, it's only going to be looked at as, hey, this guy's got a college degree, let's move on. If that's something that you like and you're interested in, that's something you still want to do, by all means, absolutely. But it's probably not going to aid you that much in your fire career. The other thing I would say that's probably not that useless, and the only reason I'm bringing this up is because they're so common, are, for the exception of one thing, which I'll talk about here a little bit later, are business degrees. Finance degrees, business management degrees, all of those things are good and it's important and it's good knowledge, but if you're dead set on working in the fire service, there's not a huge role for that. Again, none of those degrees are necessarily bad in and of themselves, just might not help you going forward. So what are some degrees that might help you down the road? Let's say you're already hired. Let's say you're in your late 20s, 30s, maybe mid 20s. I don't know. You're already working at a department, or you have your eye on working in administration as a chief or assistant chief or a battalion chief. What's something you can do now as a degree that might help you down the road? So the first thing I would say is any sort of emergency management or general administrative degree. As an administrator, you're going to be in charge of a group of people. And especially something along the lines of fire service or emergency management, it's kind of tied directly to what we're doing here. That might be something down the road. I know some departments require that in order to get promoted, whether it be to lieutenant, captain, chief, whatever, you have to have a 4-year degree at least. Not all departments do that, but some do. But either way, it might help you down the road. Speaking of which, MBAs, that's a popular administrative degree. I would not recommend that. I have an MBA as well, and it has done me zero good. I did not think it was particularly useful, but again, every school is different, but that is a popular one as well. And then the last one that I would recommend that might help you down the road is a JD or a law degree. The reason being is that The fire service and legal issues crisscross all the time. Dealing with contracts, dealing with union negotiations, dealing with vendors. There's a lot of legal issues, whether we're talking strictly labor or we're just talking just general stuff in the running of the fire department, that has, excuse me, that has a lot to do with the law. Now, at the time of making this video, I am actually in law school as well. This is something that has appealed to me for a long time, and this is something that I'm working on. But again, it's not for everybody. It's very difficult. There's a lot of time required. But I know a guy who works for a neighboring department who works full time for his department and works as an attorney on the side. I know another guy who retired, did a full 25-year career, got his law degree early on in his career, just kind of worked on the side on his own, and then as soon as he retired, had his own little law practice, and that's what he does now in retirement. Again, this is something that has to be for you. Like I said, there's a lot of time that goes into it, and it's very difficult, but it's certainly doable, and it's certainly, if it's something you're interested, that you might look to. I know there's all the jokes about lawyers and attorneys and things like that, but typically in a group of people, a lawyer is looked to as a leader of that group because they have specific knowledge, skills, and experience that most people don't. So that might be something for you to think about. So what are my recommendations to you as a person that has some higher education experience and as a firefighter? My first thing is, if you're younger, if you're 16, 17, 18, 20, whatever, try to be more forward thinking with your education. Think of yourself not as 20-year-old today person or 25-year-old or 18-year-old today. Think of yourself as 55-year-old man or woman. You're at the end of your career or you just finished your career. What would serve you then? And that's what I would focus on. That would be my recommendation to you, especially if we're talking about B jobs and things going forward. Also, a lot of cities and municipalities will face financial problems quite frequently. And there's the promise of the pension and pay and all these things. It might not be there. I hope that that's not the case, but that's something you want to keep in the back of your mind as well. So if you're going to spend the time and the money and the effort in a college degree, I would make sure, if I was a younger person thinking about doing this, that it would be something that will serve me not just now and today and something that would be easy, but something that will serve me 20, 30 years from now. So as always, I hope you found this helpful. I hope you found this useful. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I will be launching memberships to the channel soon. So if it's not up yet, it will be here shortly. It'll be a little join button next to the subscribe button. If that's something you're interested in, you want to support the channel, by all means, feel free to join. And I will see you guys in the next video.